maybe. But afterwards I looked it up in a book, and the clothes he was wearing were a lot like the ones boys wore towards the end of the 20th century. His hair was short, and he was wearing trousers. Same goes for me. Asako's hair was indeed cropped short, and she had on a pair of light cotton bell-bottoms. I mean, sure, but his trousers were a lot tighter and not so wide at the bottom, and his chest was flat as a board. There are women like that too, you know. His whole vibe was different. He was solidly built and tall, with a spring in his step. There was something intense about him. Wow. Well, it looks like you've got all the answers. Never mind the fact that you've never even seen a man before. The year I graduated high school, we went on a field trip to the occupancy zone, but men turned out to be nothing like I expected. They were scraggly and smelled funny, and they all gave me the creeps. Maybe it's because they're stuck in that place, but they all seem so lazy. You'll understand when you go and see them. They're awful. But you said you looked it up in a book. Where did you see a book like that? The publication of material concerning men is strictly prohibited. A friend's house. Well, how'd it get there? I guess her mother works for the Information Bureau. My friend doesn't really know either. She opened the door to the study with a hairpin and said I could read any book I wanted. Such a little hoodlum. There were lots of films, too. If that got out, it would mean real trouble. Yuka, I know you don't really understand, but that kind of thing could throw society into chaos. I want you to remember this. Order is the most important thing. Abiding by the rules. If we all do that, humanity can avoid destruction. She gave this lecture gently, like a proper big sister. I poured some milk into my tea. By humanity, do you mean women? Of course. Didn't you learn that in school? Yeah. Well, there you go. And men? Men are an offshoot of humanity as well, but they're a deviant strain. They're freaks. But there was a time when they flourished, wasn't there? They don't teach us much about that in school. You only learn about such taboo subjects through whispered conversations among friends. 2 or 3 years back, someone secretly published a pamphlet called On Men, and a friend showed it to me. Eventually, the police cracked down and seized all the copies. The culprits were quickly caught and put in a detention facility. The news posters branded it a dangerous publication because it stimulated curiosity. My grandmother told me that when she was young, they used to deliver the newspaper door to door each morning, and the transportation network extended to every corner of the country. Even now, you can see the massive concrete pillars that used to hold up the highways. You never know when they might collapse, though, so it's dangerous to get too close. It was around the time resources started to become scarce, and they scaled back production in the factories, that the number of men also started to decrease. We were taught that it was the men who had created that horrifying culture. By the end, they had used up almost all of the oil. The deposits were all but depleted now, so we rely almost entirely on the heat of the sun. Women have been left carefully husbanding the scant resources of a planet stripped bare by men. Apparently back then, there was also something called a TV in every home. I can't even imagine. All kinds of programs coming at you from morning till night, at the twist of a knob. And all for free. I guess something called NHK collected money for it. But towards the end, nobody paid anymore. TV was one kind of women's greatest pleasures. Grandma says when she was a kid, she used to watch it every day. Back then, girls and boys alike were immersed in exam hell. But her mother didn't give her any grief about school. Grandma wanted to be a singer. She told me so. Apparently at that time, these singers would appear on TV constantly. And since just about everyone watched TV, they were famous. And if you were famous, throngs of people would come to your concerts. I don't really believe the part about everybody watching TV, though. Grandma also told me it was really sad when the TV stations went under and men weren't around as much anymore. Stop talking nonsense and go to bed already. It's 8 o'clock. The electricity's about to get shut off. And sure enough, just as my sister said this, the already dim bulb went dark. In its wake, the moonlight lay in stripes across the tabletop. Look, the moon's so big and red, Asako pointed. Look where it is.